Hey guys, it is Caslo, and we're back taking a look at the new job Reaper. It's been a lot of fun to play. I actually don't normally enjoy melee DPS, and it's the first job that's really kind of hooked me in that role. But it does have some problems. We're going to talk through its whole toolkit and how I think it's performing. Um, if you've looked at FF logs, you know it's performing well. It's currently the best melee DPS. But I think it could be cleaned up a little bit. But starting off, you've got this move Soul So, which during combat has a super long cast time, but outside combat, it's instant cast. And it's just a big damage hit whenever you need it. Generally speaking, you want to use that during during downtime in fights, or in between pulls and dungeons. But outside of that, getting into like the normal rotation, the first thing you've got is Shadow of Death. This just puts a debuff on the target that makes the target take an additional 10% in damage, as well as gives you some of your gauge on a kill. There is an AOE version of it, Whirl of Death, for multiple ads. This is where I see the real flaw in Reaper right now, primarily because it's a debuff you have to keep up on the enemy. This is something that they used a lot in A Realm Reborn and then slowly took it away from jobs, where you were constantly keeping up a debuff so your damage would be better. Now it tends to be a buff on yourself. I mean, I think Dark Knight's the biggest example of this, is keeping up its buff to keep its damage bonus. Having to keep up the debuff, one where you have to do it basically every 30 seconds or twice every minute. It can get a little tedious if you don't keep an eye on it, and it's such a DPS loss if it falls off, that you're constantly needing to make sure that it's on there. But Reaper is moving so quick and doing so many abilities, you kind of lose track of it. Speaking of, let's go through its normal rotation. So, it has a standard 1-2-3 attack, which each hit builds 10 gauge. Now, when you have 50 gauge, you can spend it on Bloodstock to call out your kind of void scent to do an attack. And then it activates this secondary combo of either Gibbet or Gallows, which these two are the only two moves in the entire kit that has positionals. So we'll do Gibbet from the side here for its damage bonus, and then you go out of that form. It does have a move Soul Slice. This gives you 50 gauge right away, and it's on the global cooldown. There's another move you can do, Gluttony, which has a long cooldown, but lets you do 2 attacks in that Void Scent form. So we'll go ahead and pop that. And then I'm going to use True North just so I don't have to do positionals. But do our 2. And now that we've got 50 on our blue gauge down there, we can Enshroud, which this is what turns you into your full Reaper form. And now if you see your combos changed here. Each of these take one of the 5 little blue orbs you've got over on that countdown going on. And every 2 unlocks an OGCD move called Lemur Slice, which is just some additional damage. And then at any time you can use Communion, which ends your... I ran out of time. It ends your Enshroud, but does a good amount of damage. So generally, you're going to want to do 1-2 OGCD, 1-2 OGCD, and then Communio to end it. From an AOE standpoint, we've got just a 1-2 combo here, both centered around the Reaper. You also have a 1-hit for 50 soul gauge move as well. This unlocks a new Void Scent attack called Grim Scythe. And then you get a new combo hit here for guillotine. Or guillotine. And so generally you just are popping these. The hardest thing is because your 1-2 combo here is AoE around the Reaper, but your kind of Reaper form stuff is all line attacks. And so in dungeons you're kind of moving around a little bit more than anything to get all those in. Like Gluttony, it gives you 2 again, so you can get 2 of these in a row. And you have Enshroud stuff on this as well. And I got off target there. Yeah, do 2, OGCD, do 2, OGCD, and then Communio. But those are your 2 standard rotations for single target and AoE. Buff-wise, you have Arcane Circle, which you can use to buff yourself and puts a buff on everybody else that if they do a weapon skill within like 6 seconds or whatever, it gives you stacks of a buff that you can then spend on this spell, Plentiful Harvest, which is a line AoE that does a whole bunch of damage and gives you a whole bunch of your blue gauge. So you can then spend it, go into Reaper form or in Shroud form, and just go off. And you see, when you're in Shroud, you're moving super quick. You've got Arcane Crest here, which is a shield you put on yourself. If it breaks, then everyone around you gets a very strong recon. And then finally, for mobility, they've got these dashes backwards. And when you do that, you leave a portal. And your forward dash lets you return to the portal. When you do this, you also get the spell Harp that you can instant cast. Normally it has a pretty decent cast time, but it allows you to... Here, I'm going to move around this way. It allows you to dash out, cast it, and then come back in when you're good. So that's generally how that's kind of used. Yeah, that's kind of the whole toolkit for Reaper. But let's take a quick look. Give me 10 seconds, and we will we'll take a look and see what it looks like from an opener. All right, so we want to do an opener. Generally, you're going to open up with Soul Sow. That would normally be instant cast. I didn't reset my Anemone on these, so it had a long cast. But you'll either pre-cast a Harp, or you'll dash in, put your debuff on. I usually try and get 2 in, and then I buff, and we start going to town. Just doing a few moves, and then pop our Plentiful Harvest, go in Shroud, go through our Enshroud phase, and then go back into using abilities. See, I haven't hit my 1, 2, 3 yet. I'll probably hit a 1 here because I don't have anything else to do. But we're right back into Enshroud. And do this super fast combo again. And boom. But that's generally what kind of an opener for Reaper looks like right now. Like I said, the big thing, keeping up that debuff. Yeah, so I'm going to jump real quickly into a dungeon with Trust. And I can kind of show you what an AOE rotation looks like. Here we go, enemies. We'll start by getting our debuff on. Go ahead and spin that so I don't forget it. And then pop our buff. AOEing. Again. And then let's use this. We'll Enshroud. And end with Comunio. So we're through that, and we still have 20 seconds left on our debuff, so that's not too bad. Alright, I'm going to clear these next few waves, and then I'll see you guys at the boss. Alright, so here we are at a boss. We're going to open up Goodness activated, and then dodge in, get debuffs going, spend a couple of things, buff, and shroud, start going to town. I messed that opener up though. I forgot to use my soul so earlier. And use that. Let's try this again. 1, 2. Off to global. 1, 2. Off global. You underestimate me. And then Comunio. You cannot stop us. But yeah, that's this kind of standard Reaper rotation there. Like I said, it's a lot of fun to play, but if you look, his debuff's already fallen off, and I had forgotten about it. So like I said, that's kind of the worst part of this job, is maintaining that debuff uptime. Alright, well there you have it. That is Reaper kind of in a nutshell, and my thoughts. Like I said, it's super fun to play. The only real downside is keeping that debuff up on enemies. And honestly, sometimes you kind of forget about being able to use Soul So, which is a DPS loss if you forget to do that. But other than that, the job is super fun to play. If you haven't got a chance to check it out, I would highly recommend unlocking it. It's kind of good to go straight at 70. It's still super fun to play there, even though you don't have your full toolkit yet. But once you hit 80 and unlock Enshroud, you start flying. You move so quickly. Your moves come up so quickly. It is just super fun to play. But let me know in the comments below if you've gotten to try out Reaper, what you think of it. Am I crazy for hating the debuff ability there? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, you can reach me elsewhere at Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. I have links in the description below to all those channels if you want to come watch me or just want to chat and be part of the daily community. But that said, we will see you guys next time. Take care.